Hey everybody! You know, a lot of people wonder if it would ever be possible to live on Mars. Well, you know what? It could only be a matter of time before we can develop the right technology to make that actually happen. But Mars and Earth are very different, so the way that we would live on Mars would be much different than the way we live on Earth. Today we're going to talk about how Mars and Earth are different, but also how they're similar. So we'll compare and contrast the two planets, and then we're going to build models of Earth and Mars that are built to scale. Alright, let's learn some facts. In our solar system, Earth is the third planet from the Sun. Mars is the fourth. Earth is 93 million miles from the Sun, while Mars is 142 million miles. With that in mind, do you think Mars is hotter or colder than Earth? Mars is colder, of course, because it's farther from the source of the heat. In fact, the average temperature on Earth is about 57 degrees Fahrenheit, while the average temperature on Mars is negative 81 degrees Fahrenheit. That means that on a nice day in Mars, it actually feels like the middle of winter in Antarctica. The Earth is bigger than Mars, with a diameter of 7,926 miles. Mars is about half that size, with a diameter of 4,220 miles. And Mars only has about 1/10 the mass of Earth. One thing that they have in common is that the tilt of their axes is about the same. Earth tilts at 23.5 degrees, while Mars is 25 degrees even. Another thing that Earth and Mars have in common is that the length of a day is about 24 hours, but the length of a year on Mars is much longer because it takes Mars longer to orbit the Sun. The pull of gravity is different. On Earth, the pull of gravity is over twice that of Mars. That means that you'd weigh a lot less on Mars. If you weigh 100 pounds on Earth, you only weigh about 38 pounds on Mars. Mars has 2 moons. Earth, well, we only have one. The core of Mars might be similar to the core of Earth, but we don't know yet. We haven't done enough exploration. Our atmospheres are different too. Earth's atmosphere is largely nitrogen, while Mars's is almost entirely carbon dioxide. Here are some handy facts for you to keep. Now that you know a few similarities and differences between Earth and Mars, we're going to construct our own models of both planets. Now, both of your models should be proportional to the actual planets, which means that your Earth model should be larger than your Mars model. And as we do the activity, I'll show you how to verify that that's true. To make the models, we're going to need to make a salt dough. So the ingredients that you need for that are flour, any kind of flour, salt, warm water, about a half a cup of warm water, and cream of tartar if you have it. If you don't have it, it'll probably still work without it. And then you're going to need a large mixing bowl, a whisk. You're going to need some measuring cups. So I have one for 1 cup, half a cup, and then a tablespoon measurer here. And then you're also going to need a ruler and some string. And finally, you're going to need a piece of paper that you divide into 2 sections, Mars and Earth, and you're going to write down facts about each planet under their respective columns. Okay, let's make the salt dough. This is probably going to get messy, so if you're doing it inside, you probably want to lay down some napkins or some newspaper to keep your area clean. Although I bet you used up all of your newspaper on the moon habitat lesson, so you probably don't have a single piece left. Alright, so you're going to start by getting your dry ingredients ready. That means your flour and your salt. You need 1 cup of flour and a half a cup of salt. And 1 tablespoon of cream of tartar. Whisk your dry ingredients together briefly. Now that your dry ingredients are mixed, pour in a half a cup of warm water and whisk it together. If you find it's too dry, you can add a little bit more water, and if it's too wet, you can add more flour. When your dough is a good consistency, you're ready to work. You're ready to make your models. So you're just going to mold each one. You're going to mold a small ball for Mars and a larger ball for Earth. Well, that consistency was too goopy, so I added more flour and more salt, so now it's kind of chunky, I'm gonna try it this way, maybe this will work. Yeah, that's working better. Now I can mold it. Okay, I have now one large model for Earth and one smaller one for Mars. And you need to make sure that they're proportional. So the Earth one should be about twice the size of the Mars one. In order to do that, you want to measure its diameter. So you take some string, find the end of the string, make sure you know where that is, and go around the diameter. And then wherever the string meets that end that you're holding, you want to pinch that part. Okay, so there's mine. And then you're going to take it to your ruler and measure how long that is. So mine is 10 inches in diameter. That means that for Mars to be half that size, Mars should be about 5 inches in diameter. So now I'm going to measure this in the same way and see if it's 5 inches in diameter. It's actually more like 7 inches, so I'm going to take a little dough away, try to make it even smaller. I'll measure again, see if I'm closer. I don't have to be exact, but I want to be pretty close to half the size. Okay. Still 7 inches, so I'm going to keep taking some away. And all right, I had to take away more than I thought, but I've got it down to about 5.5 inches. I'll accept that. So look how much smaller Mars is than Earth with your model. Isn't that incredible? I thought that it would look bigger than that, but no, it's much smaller than I expected, and that's half the diameter of Earth. Now, if you want to, and you have paint at home, you could paint each one of your models. You could paint the Earth green and blue, and you could paint Mars red or orange. And if you have extra dough like I do, you can take this and mold it into moons. Remember, Mars has 2 moons and Earth has 1, so you could make 2 moons for Mars and then put some toothpicks in there to have the moon sticking out. And the same for Earth, just the 1 moon with the 1 toothpick sticking out, and try to make the diameters accurate if you can. You might have to Google search how much it is. And whether you are able to make the model or not, you need to do your chart now where you list the differences and similarities between Earth and Mars. So some things that you can put on your chart are like average distance from the sun, diameter, tilt of axis, length of year, that kind of stuff. Okay? So fill up your chart as much as you can, and that will complete the assignment for you. Enjoy. You know what? I just realized you could probably use Play-Doh instead of all of that dough and stuff. You'd probably save yourself a lot of trouble and use Play-Doh. And just do it the same way where you roll it together and measure the diameter with a string. Make sure Earth is larger than Mars, and then bing bang, you got it.